Hi, it's Paul here from Carnash Inside Bikes, and today I'm riding one of my most anticipated bikes of 2025. It's not an adventure bike, it's not a sports bike, it's not got 200 horsepower, in fact it's probably even 10% of that. But I think it looks cool. It's a Honda GB350S. Now we feature a lot of bikes like this on the channel, little bikes from like Royal Enfield, Triumph, and there's a reason for that, and the reason that we ride so many of them on the channel, loads of people are buying them. This is where the market's at right now, and I love them, and I get why people like them. Now looking at the spec sheet, there's not much to write home about this. 20-ish, 21 brake horsepower, it's on a par with the 350 Royal Enfields which we've ridden, and which sell really, really well. And there's another thing that's similar to a Royal Enfield, and that's the price. You'll get change back of £4 for one of these. Again, very similar to Royal Enfield Hunter that we've ridden in the past. So Honda's probably a bit more comparable to the Enfields than it is the Triumph 400s that we've ridden in the past. They are kind of mixing in the same circles, but at just under 21 horsepower, it's got a very similar power output to the Enfield, but pretty much half of what the more modern Triumph design puts out. And likewise the price, the Triumph's about £1 more as well. And what you get is a mellow bike like the Royal Enfield. Isn't it quite strange that we're seeing the world's biggest motorcycle manufacturer really benchmarking what likes of Royal Enfield are doing? Shows how good Royal Enfield are in terms of finding where the market's at. And what I love about these bikes is that they're just lovely for pottering around on. We've been riding this on a lot of bumpy, nadry back roads that you certainly wouldn't want to be riding a sports bike on, and roads that, to be honest, you're limited by the road surface and the speed. At the heart of this is a 350cc single cylinder, basic as you like, engine. Just over 20 horsepower, and it is lazy. It is lazy as anything, and I say that as a positive, not as a negative. The only negative really is that you're constantly hitting the rev limiter. So you pull away from a junction and it's blah, 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 you're right on the rev limiter. And sometimes when you're overtaking cars, again, that can be a little bit disconcerting. You go for the overtake, boom, you've hit the rev limiter. So that is a downside. But once you get used to it, it's lovely and lazy. They've really engineered a great sound into it. It's got torque, it's got really tall gearing, so it's very relaxed. Gets up to 60 miles an hour in third gear quite quickly, and then it just sort of lounges onto its top speed, which is claimed 70 miles an hour, and it is around about that according to the speedo. Now the spec is basic. Lovely speedo, really clear, single dial speedo, nice to look at that. You don't have a rev counter, you really don't need it. The LCD inset is a little bit too small for me to read really, but again it does the job and it keeps it really clean, and that's the whole point of this bike. It's very clean in its styling. Suspension, as you would expect, is really basic, but one thing that the market's sort of changed in recent years, and Triumph have done this, their 400s are definitely a little bit spec above and a price above as well. But whereas in the past you'd get really rubbish brakes, really rubbish tyres, you know, it's got Nissan brakes, it's got Metzler tyres on them. They're not top of the range stuff, but it's all very adequate. And doesn't it look great? You know, the paint on this doesn't look budget, the machining on the engine doesn't look budget, that chrome on the casings, it just pings out at you. Looks really, really good. And that's something that maybe budget, lower end Hondas in the past I'd be a bit critical of, but the finish looks good, really tidy. So the GB name is kind of new to Honda. They did bring out a GB back in the 1980s, mid-1980s, a GB500, which was a sort of homage to the old Brit bikes, the old single cylinder 500cc racers like the BSA Gold Star, the AGS 7R, the Manx Norton. And it was a kind of bit of a, didn't really sell that well, but became a bit of a cult bike, had loads of character. The GB stood for Great Britain. It was a, you know, blatant sort of Brit bike style. This brings back the GB name. I don't think it's so British in its style maybe as the older ones. Honda have got a great back catalogue of their own, and they draw from a lot of inspiration from older Hondas. I love just the detailing touches. Again, that little fuel tank filler, the roll seat, stuff like that are beyond what you might expect in a £4 motorcycle. It's quite low, very manageable for shorter riders. Honda pitch it very much as a city bike, and I can see where they're going with that. You don't need the power, it's not much faster than 125, but that extra torque makes it really easy to ride around town, really tight turning circle. You have gone for a 19-inch front wheel, which perhaps makes it a little bit heavier than it would be if they had a 17-inch, a little bit lazier to turn than if it had a 17-inch, but it gives it great presence, doesn't it? It looks really well proportioned. And overall, I've really enjoyed riding the GB350S. I could see it be one in my garage, and I think it will appeal to a lot of riders who maybe have got some bigger bikes. You pull one of these out and you can just bimble around the back lanes as and when. Such a chilled riding style. I think it's got a massive appeal to lots of people. Lots of options on it, lots of accessory options on it, so you can customize it with a little nose cowl and seat cowl. And overall, it is going to sell really well this year. There's a good reason for that. I love it. Going to put a full review, going to put it up on the website, going to put URL below. Please visit us on the website, subscribe if you like the channel. Till next time, thanks for watching.